I was trapped on a road that didn't exist. If you find yourself on an empty, unfamiliar road in the middle of the night, don't stop. Keep passing through. I want to start this by saying that I don't scare easily. I'm not the kind of person who jumps at shadows or reads too much into coincidences. I've driven long distances at night plenty of times. I've taken back roads, shortcuts, and routes with no cell service. But whatever happened to me last year, that wasn't normal. And ever since then, I've had this constant feeling that if I don't talk about it, someone else might end up on that road too. So if you're listening to this late at night, or if you're the type of person who likes to take drives at night, please pay attention. This happened about a year ago. I'd been visiting my sister who lives a few states away, and I left later than I should have. By the time I crossed back into my home state, it was well past midnight. The highway was almost completely empty, and not a peaceful empty, more like an abandoned empty. No trucks, no distant headlights, just the hum of tires and the white lines flashing under my headlights. I remember feeling tired, but not dangerously tired, alert enough to sing quietly to the radio, and comfortable enough to zone out just a little. And that's when my GPS chimed, rerouting due to traffic ahead. I sighed, glanced at the screen and saw the blue line peel off the highway onto a thinner, unnamed road, with no label, just a gray strip disappearing into darkness. The detour would add about 20 minutes to my drive. I hesitated. Something about it bothered me, but I couldn't explain why. Still, the idea of sitting in late-night traffic felt worse, so I took the exit. The moment I did, everything changed. The highway lights, they vanished behind me almost immediately. The road narrowed into a single strip of asphalt hemmed in tightly by trees on both sides. No street lights, no reflectors, no guardrails, just a dense forest pressing close like it was leaning into me. My headlights barely reached far enough to be comforting, and at first I told myself this was normal. Back roads are like that. But after 10 minutes had passed, and then 20, with no turns, no houses, no mailboxes, no signs of civilization, I started to feel uneasy. Then the radio crackled. Not full static, but just enough distortion to make the music warp slightly, like the sound was being dragged underwater, and underneath it, I thought I heard voices. Not words, just shapes of voices. I changed the stations, and the same thing. Eventually I turned the radio off entirely. The silence that followed felt heavy, pressurized. And that's when I noticed the mile marker. It was rusted, and it bent inward, barely visible in my headlights as I passed it, and I didn't think much of it at first. But a few minutes later, I passed another one. It was identical. Same rust, same bend, same faded paint. My stomach tightened. I checked my speed, 65. I checked the clock, and time was moving normally. But it felt wrong. Stretched like every minute took longer than the last. The road didn't curve, it didn't rise or dip, it just went on and on. And then something moved in the trees. I caught it just out of the corner of my eye, a tall, thin silhouette slipping between the trunks. I slowed slightly, heart racing, scanning the darkness, but nothing was there. I told myself I was just exhausted, but still I locked my doors. A few minutes later, I glanced down at my gas gauge. It had dropped far lower than it should have. And I frowned because I knew that I had enough fuel left. I'd filled up before I left. Even with the reroute, I shouldn't have been anywhere near empty. Then the needle trembled, and then dipped. Another mile marker passed, the same one, and that's when it really hit me. I looked at my GPS. The blue line showed my car moving forward, but everything around it was blank. No town names, no side roads, no landmarks, just a single road floating in nothing. I tried to zoom out, and the screen lagged and then it just snapped back to my position. The engine coughed once, twice, then the gas gauge dropped straight to empty. I looked out and I saw a gas station. I'd been passing the same mile marker and saw nothing. Then all of a sudden it just appeared. It didn't come into view gradually. 1 second the road was empty and then the next it was just there. A small gas station sitting unnaturally close to the road like it had been placed as an afterthought. Every light was on, bright, harsh fluorescent bulbs buzzing loudly in the night. In the building it looked perfect. Too perfect. It was just pristine, as if nobody had touched it. And there were no cars. Not even bugs around the lights. I sat in my car for a long moment, hands gripping the wheel, and every instinct screaming at me to leave. The engine sputtered again, and I knew that I wouldn't get far. So I pulled in, and the moment I stepped out of the car, the air just felt wrong. It felt heavy, too still, too cold. The buzzing of the lights was loud enough to make my teeth ache. And as I walked toward the pump, I realized I could hear something else. Footsteps. Not on the pavement, but on leaves. Slow and deliberate. Circling just beyond the light of my headlights. I didn't look. The pump handle was already unlocked. No resistance. The dark was just menacing. The display on the pump, it showed no price, no gallons, just a reflective surface showing my face staring back at me. It looked hollow. And that's when I saw him. Standing near the door, I swear he hadn't been there a second earlier. He looked ordinary at first glance, middle-aged, thin, wearing a faded attendant's jacket. But his eyes reflected the light like an animal's. "Long drive?" he said. And his voice was calm, practiced. I forced myself to respond, yeah. You know how far it is to the next town?" He smiled slowly. "It depends. Are you staying or just passing through?" My stomach twisted. "I'm just passing through." He nodded. "That's good." The pump hummed louder. I asked him if this place was on the map. And he just tilted his head and said, "Nah, maps don't like this road." That's when the footsteps stopped. The silence was suffocating. I glanced at the station window and froze. In the reflection right behind me, a figure stood just beyond the light. Tall, bent, warped. Some looked almost human, but stretched unnaturally. Others weren't shaped so much as absences, patches of darkness that swallowed light. And none of them moved, but all of them were just watching. My heart felt like it was trying to tear out of my chest. I dropped the pump. Fuel spilled onto the concrete, but the attendant didn't react. "Don't stare," he said quietly. "They notice." And I whispered, "Sir, what is this place?" His smile faded. I stopped. For who? For people who keep driving. I couldn't do anything but run. I didn't even shut my door properly. I didn't buckle my seatbelt. I slammed the gas and tore back onto the road. The gas gauge was full. The road swallowed me again. Same trees, same darkness, same mile marker, over and over and over, and no matter how fast I went, nothing changed. My headlights caught movement pacing me in the woods, shapes keeping up with effort. Sometimes shadows stood directly in the road ahead until they just weren't. I screamed, I cried, I begged out loud, and just when the panic hollowed me out completely, I saw it. It's an exit sign. Green, reflective, real. And I took it without slowing down at all. Suddenly everything snapped back. Street lights, a normal road, a billboard advertising a diner. My GPS chimed cheerfully, recalculating, as if nothing had ever happened. I pulled over and cried until the sun started to rise. And finally I made it home. But the next morning I found something stuck to the bottom of my shoe. It was black and it smelled like something rotting. Oil maybe. But there was no gas charge on my card. And sometimes late at night when the road feels a little too empty, I swear I still hear those buzzing lights. So if you're driving at night and the road doesn't seem to end, and you see a spotless gas station with no cars and all the lights on, don't stop. Because some roads don't lead anywhere. Keep passing through. Because some places exist only to make sure that you never leave.